So in fire safety, we use symbols a lot because you can show a lot of information in one symbol without having to use a lot of text. And also you can go across different language barriers, different levels of education, right? So we use a lot of symbols. It's very important that we are standardizing those symbols so when everyone sees one symbol, they understand what it means. That's where NFPA 170 comes into play. So NFPA 170 is the standard for fire safety and emergency symbols. Now, I know a lot of designers might understand what NFPA 170 is because it provides symbols that you use in your drawings and your designs. But there's also other symbols in this standard that you can use when you're creating signage and emergency, if you're doing emergency planning or creating evacuation maps. That's where all of the standardized signage comes from. So if you take a look down here, I'm just gonna go through the table of contents real quick just to show you what's kind of covered in here. We've just got general use symbols. We've got symbols that are used by the fire service. So whether we're identifying where the fire department connection is, where the fire alarm control panel is, a lot of that is found in there. Then we've got our symbols for our architectural engineering drawings, as well as our insurance drawings, which is another layer of those architectural engineering drawings. We've got drawings, symbols for fire alarm systems. We've also got symbols that we're using for pre-incident planning. So if you're in the fire department and you're doing your pre-incident planning, that's where a lot of those symbols can come from. And then we've got emergency management mapping. So that's a little bit higher level. If we're trying to create maps for determining emergency management of during specific situations, we've got symbols for that. And then emergency evacuation drawings. So all of that is covered in NFPA 170. So there's a lot of different symbols. I highly recommend you taking a look if you're using symbols in your day-to-day or in your facility or things like that, what you want to be using. And then there's some annex that goes over some different things. I'll talk later in another video about firefighter safety building marking system symbols, but there's a lot of symbols in here. And I'll link a blog below. Goes a little bit over what I've been talking about previously, which is NFPA 704, the hazard identification diamond, and then it talks about NFPA 170, which is that standard for symbols. So if you're using symbols in your day-to-day, if you're a designer, you're creating maps for your facility, I highly recommend checking out 170. Let me know, did you know that NFPA 170 existed? Are you using the most up-to-date symbols so we're making sure that we're all standardized? Let me know in the comments below.